All right, 7 o'clock. We'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, welcome, everyone. A few housekeeping matters. Emergency exits are off to the side, as well as out the lobby and to the right and left. The restrooms are in the lobby area. If you haven't done so already, please sign the attendance sheet. There are business cards at the back of the table. Feel free to take them, as well as the proposed resolution rather. Also, if you haven't done so already, please turn off your cell phones or silence them so as not to disturb the meeting itself. If you have any conversations that do not pertain to the application that is being heard, please take it out in the hallway. We would also ask that during the meeting itself, Amber here is going to be taking minutes, and we're going to do our very best not to talk over each other, as well as not to talk over to who's ever speaking. It's going to create a much clearer record. It's confusing at times that if everyone's talking at the same time. If that does happen, I'm going to do as courteously as I can is to stop, slow it down, and just point to whoever is talking, and we're going to take turns. If there are exhibits that have not been presented, let us know that they're new exhibits. We'll certainly take a look at them and mark them accordingly. If you're going to use an exhibit, let us know what you're talking about. And also do your very best to use descriptive words. Compass directions help. Things like roads, structures. Instead of saying, well, if you notice over here, notice over there, that makes it very hard when we go back and review the minutes what exactly everyone's talking about. So as descriptive as you possibly can is going to be very helpful. With that, first order of business, we'd like to have a review of the February 5th, 2024 minutes. If everyone is good with it, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move.
Okay, Fred first, and Larry would be a second. Any further discussion on that? We're good? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Great. All right, the Arcadia application has been withdrawn. So next is the, is it Linky or Link? Link. Link, okay. Mr. Link, come on up. You are requesting an area variance for a membrane garage forward of the home. You sent us some paperwork and there's some exhibits. So walk us through what you're asking for, and we'll ask questions a little bit later.
Okay. I restore a lot of motorcycles. So what I would like to do is put up a structure like this, designed for it, and this will become an actual museum, to be honest with you, because the property will be donated, okay, to the town of Victor. It will become a park. I have to do things this way because I would never want that property destroyed. It's very special, and even like the pond, you can have the best ice skating rink, any kind of hockey. The numerous wildlife there is absolutely amazing, from peregrine falcons or, great horned owls to red-tailed hawks. There is largemouth bass and catfish in the pond. I've been seeing a mink lately running around there. There is an awful lot of wildlife, including deer, obviously, raccoons, possums, skunks, anything that you can possibly imagine, pileated woodpeckers. Anything that's really vital to Victor is in this area. Now, it does butt up next to a wetland that is protected. So this would make this, I think, a very valuable property. But I would like to leave that to my mother, and I just wanted to have this so-called building here so people could really see and understand who once lived here. I've been in through 5 combat tours. I am retired military. I'm 100% military disabled.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. So that's pretty much what I'm proposing. It is not a permanent structure. It could be made if the town would, you know, once I give up at the end of my lifetime, which will not be very long, and they can do what they wish with the property. But that's pretty much what I'm proposing.
All right, so the code doesn't differentiate between permanent and non-permanent. So we can at least take that off the table a little bit. I've noted that you responded to the 5 criteria. Can you pop that up? Find it? So that's the criteria that we look at. Those pieces, it's not an all or nothing. It's a balancing. And a lot of it has to do with, is it going to change the character of the neighborhood? And that's really what speaks to number 1. Number 2 is, can you solve it by some other means? For example, if you wanted to put that some other place on your property and still comply with the code, that's a feasible means. Sometimes people might say, it can't go here or can't go over there, and state their reasons why. It might be aesthetics. Honestly, that's really not a good reason for it. If it's, for example, well, the only other place it could be is behind the home, and behind the home is all wetlands. Well, then it can't go there. You follow the example there? Okay. So the third one is whether or not it's substantial. That's not regarding to the size of the property. It refers to how much of a variance are you looking for. So if you're looking for a structure to go forward of the property, of your primary home, if it was 1 inch forward of the home, that's probably not substantial. If it's 60 yards in front of the home, that might be substantial. See the example there? Okay. Fourth is whether or not it's going to have an environmental impact. And fifth is whether or not it is self-created. So with that, do you have anything you want to add or touch on before we ask you some questions?
Sure. One, I could have a camo netting over this building, so it would look like part of nature, okay? We could definitely do that. I could do something like, I cannot have it in back of the property due to a very large half-acre pond. Now, there are a tremendous amount of red oaks also that, I mean, as you can see on a map, it is heavily, heavily wooded. I would hate to have to take down 50, 60 trees to be able to do that. So, and a variance, yes, I mean, that's rather obvious. There's no environmental impacts at all because, you know, you could use gravel or something like a plastic floor, something very simple. And there'd be no concrete poured or anything else. So it would be very easy if it was ever considered undesirable to remove it. And I know you said once again that, you know, about the structures, and I understand that. So that's about all I'd have to add.
Okay, we're going to ask you some questions then. Fred, you got questions?
Everything would be within the roof line of the structure that you have back there, nothing outside?
It's 15 feet high, the structure, if that helps you.
But you're going to keep your material within the confines
Yes,
of the roof?
yes, yes.
It's awfully big. But that's all the questions I have.
Okay, Leah, do you have questions?
You said you're going to store motorcycles in there.
Yes.
Okay, and there's, the footprint of where you're planning to put the structure, is it currently like open with no trees or anything, and what's there now?
I would only have to remove one large tulip tree.
Okay.
Also, too, when I donate this property, everything valuable in the house would stay with it, including a 10-foot Kodiak bear, elephant tusk, an elephant foot, and all the rest of the animal mounts in. Anybody is welcome at any point in time to come there and see what what I'll be talking to you about. I already am dealing with the local judge, who is my lawyer, and we're going to work this out. Okay?
And so that current location where you're proposing to put it, that's the best location, like I saw, you have your house and then there's like a barn next to it. You can't, putting it like adjacent to the barn, that's not feasible either?
Yeah, I couldn't do that because those branches, some of them are like, they're old and they're dying and they're dead branches, and they would totally ruin a structure like this if something like that fell through.
Okay,
That's why.
okay. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Larry, you have questions?
Yeah, are you planning on doing any work on the motorcycles?
I may be here and there a little bit. I mean, just dialing them up, something like that. But it's not going to be a business or anything like that.
How many motorcycles are you planning on storing in there?
I already have 25. This is from Harley Davidsons to Volkswagen Trikes to Yamaha Banshees to motocross bikes to 3 old chopper-style bikes that I won bike shows with. They're pretty impressive machines.
When you responded to my colleague, you said that the area near the prefabricated barn had a lot of dead branches. Couldn't you remove the dead branches and put the prefab there? For the mechanism?
Also, the problem is with that is those are large tooth aspen trees. They are extremely weak old trees. They will be blown over, especially in these windstorms. They're large tooth aspens. They're poplars, basically. Large poplar trees.
Okay, that's all I have, thanks.
Matt?
No, I mean, to me, it sounds like an interesting project. In terms of the code, I agree with the comments that I don't think it'll have a negative impact on the environment or would change the character of the neighborhood at all. I mean, it's substantial, right? It's a large structure. Again, your house is surrounded by woods. With the structure being so large, I do not believe it would have any type of negative impact. Sounds like there's a comment or two from the public we'll get to as well supporting it. The only question I would have, and really it's kind of unrelated to the approval, would just be, it sounds like you've got quite an extensive collection. Are you sure you want to put it under something that seems like it might be a little too, I don't know, delicate, or I don't know what the term would be, but not strong enough to withstand, like you said, if a branch comes down or in the winter you get a lot of snow on it, or are you worried about that at all, or?
No, because, as I said, I don't really plan on living that much too longer, so all it's got to do is outlive me.
I don't know, you're looking pretty young to me and pretty healthy, so.
Well, you don't know me very well.
Understood. Are you gonna run power out to it, or?
I'm not planning, and if I did, for some reason, I would go solar. If I did. If I need something like lighting, I could go solar. But I would not do an electric line or anything like that. That I would not do.
Is it like semi-transparent to with just daylight you can see into it?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm all set.
Okay. Usually what we do, there's an instrument survey that usually accompanies where the structure is proposing to go. This looks like the diagram that you presented. Looks like either you drew it or had somebody draw it for you?
I went to the Victor board and they gave me that copy. So I just circled the area. Right now, currently, there's a turnaround there on the driveway that's probably at least 20 feet by 20 feet. There's like a turnaround that has a flagpole there. And I would obviously remove the flagpole.
Adam, can you tell, is there any submissions that we have that identify where the home is, how far the proposed structure is going, where it's going to be? I'm not able quite to tell what this drawing is showing me.
So this is the instrument survey for that house, because the house is so old. So the house, is 126 feet from the one side lot line, 240 from the other. You could estimate, where he's put the yellow lines to show the new structure, but nothing exact.
Is a building permit required?
Yes, and site plan approval by the planning board.
So as a code enforcement officer, how would you know, as far, it's, where the location is? If, I know it looks like there's sufficient room.
Right.
But hypothetically, if it gets too close to the rear side lot line after our approval,
So,
you got your hands full.
well, he needs site plan approval, which is gonna be more specific as to the exact location. But, you know, if he was to draw the structure close to the side lot line, you know, only 15 feet's required, which is not much space, and there's 240 between the side and the house
Okay.
on that side. Minus 60 or at 180, he'd still have to move it another 100 and, you know, math, 55 feet, 65 feet to be.
Based on that drawing, what's your guesstimate on how forward it is of the home?
So forward of the home, to the front of the structure, from the frontmost portion of the home, it's probably about 70 feet.
That sound about right, Mr. Link? Are you looking to put it 70?
Forward of the house, I would say, if I had to guess, just over 100. If I had to guess. I mean, I'd obviously not taking a tape measure right now, but if I had to guess.
Are you putting it parallel to the driveway?
Right there is actually where a flagpole is, see? There's like a turnaround there
Right.
for the driveway. The driveway is 900 foot. So it's actually a turnaround where I'd want to put it.
But it will be parallel to the, it would be, the driveway will be like this, and it'll be like this and not like that.
Right.
It'll be like
Right.
this.
Right.
You're looking to put the location of the temporary structure where the turnaround is.
Yes.
And the garage piece or the front piece opens to the driveway?
Yes.
Okay. And I think we have it in here. The size of the structure is 30 by 65.
Yes. By 15.
So even though it doesn't necessarily, isn't differentiated between a permanent or non-permanent, but as far as, you're gonna put it up, it's gonna stay there.
Huh?
Once you put it up, you plan it, it's gonna stay there. You're not gonna keep taking it up and down.
No, I'm not. Absolutely not.
I think you said you have no intention, no concrete, and the only electricity, if you do, would be solar.
Yes.
No water, no plumbing,
No.
primarily for storage, personal use.
Yes.
All right, we have one letter here from A. Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
A. Lewis here?
There's also a Brownell letter.
Give me one moment here. K. Lewis has no objections. Another one. Kurt Brownell. Mr. Brownell here? And he indicates does not directly oppose. Okay, would anyone else like, from the public, speak for or against the application?
Before we go on, he doesn't say that he's not directly opposed. He says he's not directly opposed, but he would like the color to be different, in which case he is opposed.
And that's something we've done many times.
In the third paragraph says, if not, definitely not in favor of this variance.
Even though he says that, I'm not sure how that fits into the criteria of the code. If an argument can be made that it's going to change the character of the neighborhood, then yes. But if he's some 800 feet off the main public thoroughfare, I'd be hard pressed to put that in there.
But I think he's in lot 27, which is less than 200 feet from where we're talking about. I'm guessing.
So, in your opinion, is he for or against? It can't be in the middle. Or he can say, I have no opinion on it. And just because you have an opinion from the public, if it doesn't apply to that criteria, he can have his opinion.
Oh, I understand, but
You
I'm
have to-
just-
It has to fall into, are they opposed or are they in favor of it?
Right. But I don't think we can say that he's in favor of it.
And you would say he's opposed to it.
He says he's not opposed to it.
But he also says he's opposed to it if it's the color that he thinks it is. In which case, if it's the color that he thinks he is, he's opposed to it.
All right, then we're going to put this in the middle for now and
Okay.
address it accordingly.
He's in favor of it with two conditions, that they,
He's in favor, in my opinion, he's in favor of the location. The colors are relevant because the color of the structure is not in front of us. It's not something that we,
Right, color,
Decided.
right, that's
The
right.
aesthetics
Color
is-
has no impact on
the location.
whether or not it's going to change the character of the neighborhood. The location of the structure does. And if it was camouflaged, I'm not sure how that would make a difference to the character of the neighborhood. If it, I'm not suggesting you paint it pink, but
No, no.
if it goes pink, that's not the purview of the zoning board. That's planning, and that's a different board that takes a look at that. Okay?
Yeah, paint it whatever color he wants as far as we're concerned. I'm like, this board at least, right?
That's right. So, anyone from the public want to speak for or against the application? Come on up. Can she have the
Sure.
podium? Tell us who you are.
Barbara Clifford, 945 Raccoon Run. My question is this: you're talking about giving this man a variance, which I'm not. I'm like the other fellow. I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm not saying I'm against it. But I don't understand how you can give a variance based on that drawing rather than an official site plan, so you know exactly what you're doing. And if this man has to go to the expense of getting a site plan for planning board approval, I think that needs to happen first, so you know exactly what you're approving, because we're talking, it could be 700 feet, 1,000 feet, whatever, from the lines, but we don't know, based on this drawing, exactly what it is he's proposing. I think we also need to show on the site plan the location of the surrounding trees, because it is a very heavily treed area. But then I hear he's thinking solar will work, and that seems inconsistent to me. If it's heavily treed, that solar would work. And so I just think you need more specific information before you give a variance. Plus, I would like to see a picture of what this structure would look like, because it may or may not be consistent with the neighborhood, depending on the appearance of the structure. It may have more of an industrial look or whatever. I'm not saying it does, or it doesn't, but I don't think we know. So I think we need additional information in order to make a judgment here. Thank you.
So you mentioned site plan approval. This board does not take care of site.
But my point is, he needs to get a site plan.
So can you please just speak into the microphone? I'm sorry.
My point is this: perhaps a variance is premature, because he needs to go to the expense of getting a site plan done, which there's expense to that. So you know exactly where everything will be located, exactly the distances. Then when you see the site plan, then you can make a decision.
Very often, there's often like a chicken and an egg situation with.
Exactly,
with
exactly.
Depending on it.
So,
And sometimes cases like
So,
this end up going
he-
site plan approval first, sometimes
yeah,
it comes to us.
and the site plan's
Often-
approved, subject to
often-
the
so-
variance
just
being
give me 1 second, let
approved.
me-
But how
Can I
can
just
you?
talk just for a
Wait.
second, just for a second?
Remember, we're not going to interrupt each other, all right? Let him ask, let him speak.
He did provide a drawing. It might not be up to like today's standards, but it is the drawing on record for the property. And very often, hold on. Very often, we do work with sketches and about this and about that. And to your point, if this was the type of property or situation where you had to know exactly, because you got to get it down to the foot, right? You have a 15-foot side setback, and you're going to go right up to that property line, right? Absolutely. But I think in this case, we can look at it and say, look, to go no farther than whether it was 100 feet or 125 feet, and we'll have to come up with that number tonight to where the board feels comfortable with it or not. I don't think it's plus or minus 1,000, like you were talking about earlier. I do have the pictures of the structure that he submitted as part of the application, if you want to come up and
Okay,
take a
thank
look
you.
as well.
Yes, he did.
Anyone from the public wants to. But that's generally, he will, to your point, he'll have to go through the site review process. And that will force him down a path that produces a up-to-date engineering drawing.
We can't, please go back to the microphone.
Here's probably a better picture of it.
My question was this: is this an exterior picture of the structure or an interior picture?
There's both, I see both. I see a photo of the interior of it, and I see a picture of the exterior, right? It's like a half circle.
A dome.
Yeah, dome,
No,
60
like a
feet
golf
wide.
dome that they have, those types of things, right?
Yeah. It looks like it
Okay.
tapers down to a smaller, it starts out larger, and there we go on the screen, right? And kind of tapers down to
Oh, okay.
a smaller edge in the back.
And the red would be what?
The red just looks like the case to me. I don't think the red is the dome.
Okay,
That's just a
okay.
case that the dome comes in,
Okay.
the picture of it on the side.
The building to me looks like a Butler building, like the type of buildings I would see on military bases.
So then,
That's like, to me, the best analogy I could say for how it looks.
and then that raises the question, is that residential? But that's for you to decide. So those are my only comments.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak for or against the application?
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Susan Stelling, and I live at 930 Raccoon Run, and I have known Mr. Link Eric for many, many, many years, and he has been an excellent steward of those beautiful 15 acres of land, and he would not change the character of the neighborhood at all by putting this structure up. You will not be able to see that from my backyard, and you will not be able to see that from the street. So I would advise you to, I would say you could approve it very, very well, because he takes good care of that land.
You
And
live,
I have no problem with him putting that structure up.
Okay,
I
thanks
know
for
the
the
structure.
thank you for the comments. Question for you. You live in that neighborhood, right? As far as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, that parcel that he's on is heavily guarded by numerous trees. Right, it's.
No, but I think that parcel that's going to be on is kind of opened.
His whole parcel that he has, I've driven by it a number of times, and I've noted that quite a lot of trees on his property. I'm not suggesting that, and I think he said he doesn't want to put it in a location where you have to take down a number of trees. There are other trees on his property, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all I'm asking.
I would approve that piece, put the the structure up, I would have no problem with him doing that.
Okay, thank
For
you.
your time.
Anyone else want to speak for or against the application? You've had your chance. Hold on. We'll come back to you. Let someone else have a chance.
My name is Jerry Sprague. I live at 920 Raccoon Run for 31 years, so I've known Eric for that length of time. My property is probably as adjacent to his as any of them, and I have no problem with what I'm hearing here tonight and what he wants to do. You know, the back of my property views that section of the property, and I don't see any problem with what he wants to do there.
Okay, thank you. I have to take a brief adjournment. I have an emergency I got to take care of. My apologies. Thanks for your patience. Okay. All right. Anyone else from the public want to speak for or against the application? All right, you wanted to say something else? Yes, please.
When I came, I was hoping for more specifics on the location and the setback, variance, whatever, and the structure. However, listening to the other neighbors who are closer and know the property better than I do, I'm a distance away, then I have no objection either, so I wanted to go on the record saying that.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask 2 more questions?
Sure.
Mr. Link, what color is the structure going to be?
It's green and white.
Okay. And my second question is on your short environmental assessment form. Basically, it says that you want to put up a portable structure for land equipment to maintain property.
Well, I thought about everything, and I'm going to donate the property. I'll be donating it.
So will you have any land equipment in there with the motorcycles?
No, not with them.
Just motorcycles?
Not with 25.
Okay, thank you. Does that need to be changed?
What changed?
The short environmental assessment form has a different usage than, or description than
I think a motor's a motor there, but
land equipment to maintain property is not motorcycles. It's in the front, first page. I think it looks like you have a different one than I have.
Adam, do you have a definition, working definition for land equipment?
I do have enough equipment to store in there, I will assure you that right now.
I guess my question is only on a legally, can he just change it? Or does this document?
I'm not sure what it changes if it goes from land equipment to motorcycles or cars.
I don't either. I don't either.
The use of the structure is the same. It's to store personal items, right? You're not running a business.
No,
Or
absolutely
a scrap
not.
business or
Absolutely not.
something like that. You want to put personal effects inside.
And I could use this for land equipment, and before I know I'm gonna pass, just change it to the bikes. I
Right.
mean, I could
Right.
obviously do that too.
What I'm trying to get my arms around, I don't think it has relevance, but you've mentioned a number of times that you have a future plan to donate it to the town. What does this got to
It
do
will
with the
be.
variance?
Huh?
What does that have to do with the variance? I have no
I
idea. what
don't know. I was told that I had to go through this process.
You do have to go through a process to get a variance, but you have inserted a number of times that you have future intentions to donate the property to the town.
Yes.
I don't find that relevant. Is there some reason why you keep mentioning that? Why does it have any impact on the variance?
I don't think it's, I mean, I'm just stating a fact here. I mean,
Okay,
if I collect on it too much, okay, well, I don't know.
okay, fair enough. Anyone else have any other questions? Let's just take a quick, Fred, you're good with it, where the location is and the facts that we have?
Yeah.
Matt?
Where would we say the location is in terms of forward of the structure? It sounded like,
He said a little more than 100, but do you think it's, I know what he's trying to locate is where that turnaround is. If it's 100 feet, I guess if it's forward of that turnaround, I think there's a potential issue. You're telling me it's going to go right on that turnaround?
Yes. And it'll go more back towards the house. It's not gonna go forward of that flagpole. It'll go back towards the house.
Right, I understand the concern from your neighbor is that the location of it seems to be a bit unclear, but if there is a current turnaround and that's where it's going to go, I think
Yes.
we have a sufficient location where it's going to go, and it's a significant distance from both sides and rear setbacks.
And I'm only asking because as I look on, if I just measure from Google Earth, I get almost exactly 250 feet from kind of the, tip of, you know, the farthest north part of the house to the turnaround area, where it looks like is there something parked there? That's how I can see it. There's like a, or at the time the photo was
I
taken.
guess it would depend what end of the house you're measuring it to run into.
No, the farthest north point of the house. So if you, I don't know if you have a minute, if you can come up here, I can just show it to you real quick. Oh, I just had it, sorry. Like that? Okay, that's about, that one shows like 267 feet.
Probably talking to take down 50 to 80 trees.
Sure, sure.
Right,
So that's the right area.
Stop. It's, go back to the microphone. We're having trouble with this issue here. The discussions that have come,
I got my microphone now.
I know you do, but I don't know if Amber can hear any of that, and he needs to be up at the podium so she can hear whatever
Okay,
we say.
so I'll repeat it, so it's,
Go ahead.
I just showed him a picture of his home and a measurement to the turnaround area, and in Google Earth, it's showing approximately 267 feet to the middle of the turnaround area.
So now we have three different numbers. We have 200 feet, we have 100 feet, and Adam is, what, 80 feet?
Yeah, and I'm looking at Google Earth and I got 236 feet, so I don't think you can use that as a measuring.
I'm just saying it's better than 80, and it's better than 100, and to the point of the public and also us, we have to have some kind of number that we can stand by.
Let me ask you this.
It's probably-
How-
It's got to be the most accurate of the three. Better than an eyeball. Sorry, Mike.
How soon would you like to get this structure up?
I don't really have a time limit.
Okay, so, Adam, what is the best way to find the location of that turnaround as far as measuring goes? You going out there or the instrument survey or finding some location where that turnaround is so there's some specificity to where this structure is going to go?
You're aware you need a site plan approval from the town planning board?
No, wasn't aware of that, but I can get that.
Okay, so did you receive my comments when they were reviewed? Or when I reviewed the application?
Yeah, you were talking about it, something about 1,000, and I
Right, due to the structure's size, town code requires site plan approval from the town planning board, which will require a site plan that needs to be prepared by a licensed engineer. So if you were to have that site plan prepared, you would have exact dimensions of where that structure is in relationship on your property. And you're gonna need that for the planning board process.
all right, maybe I'll find another alternative. Thank you for your time.
Are you withdrawing the application? Okay, that's a non-answer. So what we're going to do then is, I don't think we have any alternative other than just to, I don't know, just
Table it for now. I would think if he does make it in front of the planning board, they can read through our minutes, they can at least see that we're in general, or we can just talk amongst, if in general, we're in favor of that approximate location, but we'll need an exact number from the site plan.
As far as
He's gonna have to
putting,
come back in front of us and get an official approval.
right, as far as specificity of a resolution that we need to draft, there should be a number, and now it's, there's too many numbers floating around.
Yep.
On where it is. I don't think there's an issue that it's far enough away from the rear and side setbacks. You got one number looking at Google Earth, and the map is showing something else, and
Yeah, that's the whole point. We don't want to give him a number, and then he goes to site plan approval, and the number is an order of magnitude off, and he's got to come back, so that was the whole point.
great, okay. So let's, is this yours or mine? Oh, no, we can't hear you. It's okay.
Susan Stelling, 930 Raccoon Run.
Thank
You
you.
mentioned that there was nothing in your code referring to a movable structure or a permanent structure. Can that not enter into your discussion that this is not a permanent structure?
It's permanent and non-permanent. It's not movable.
Okay, permanent, not, right.
Right.
And it is movable. I mean, he can take it down anytime he wants.
Correct, but if he is, the portion of the code that we're looking at is that the structure is forward of the principal residence. Okay, so far so good? Mm-hmm. So even though it's not permanent, it's still a structure that applies to the code. So if he is telling us that I would like to put this structure at the turnaround, and it is X amount of feet in front of my principal home, and location of, from the road to the sides, so now everybody knows where it is. Just for, I think what you're describing is going to limit him to taking it down and moving it to some other place and saying, well, I still have a variance, I can put this wherever I want, forward of the lot line, forward of the principal residence. He has to pick a spot.
Adam, what makes it a structure? Is there concrete footers that have to be placed, or is it a big tent?
So state building code defines that as a membrane structure. It's considered a structure, okay? It's a rigid frame with a soft material over top of
I
it.
think he said there was no concrete involved.
Right. Regardless of that, our code doesn't differentiate between permanent and non-permanent. Although it may be easier to move this structure, a person could take any shed down or have it moved with minimal effort. If it was a wood frame structure versus a membrane structure. The building code differentiates non-permanent structure to a permanent structure with a definition of 180 consecutive days, which Mr. Link made clear would be, it'd be longer than that. He would have to take it down every 6 months.
So can you put something in the stipulations that that cannot be moved, or however you do it? That's there?
I would like to continue the conversation, but he walked out. I can't stop him from walking out.
I know that.
Right? And unless he misunderstood what we were doing, I think the board was looking like they were in favor of granting the variance. There just needs some specificity to it, and he walked out. I can't control his behavior. We'll give him some time. If he wants to come back and say, no, I'm sorry, I know I got to get this site plan approval, and I'll do those pieces, and, okay.
Well, if there's anything I can do, let me know, because he's a good young man, and he served our country well, and I'd like to see him get that. I'm getting chills just talking about it. I'd like to see him get that and do what he has to do, what he wants to do, and I would appreciate your help with
We'd
this.
like to talk to him, encourage him to come back, ask questions, and we're trying to help the applicant. And doesn't mean we give everybody everything, but if it looks like that the process and procedure needs to be followed, and hopefully he can understand that.
I know that. I know your job isn't easy, and I thank you all for your service, too.
Welcome.
Okay?
I think the part that made me surprised him was the engineering drawing required as part of the site plan approval process. It sounded like that's kind of what maybe got under his skin a little bit. I don't know how to fix that, but maybe he'll think about that a little bit and either come back in front of us. We're really just trying to, we need a number, right, in a relatively accurate location on how far forward it would be, whether it's 200 feet, 250 feet, or 150 feet. There just needs to be something for the variance that we've got to grant, to Mike's point. Oh, I don't know, he's gone as far as I can tell. And so, yeah, to Mike's point, I think, in general, the board's in favor of it. We just need the facts to be able to put in the record, and
We can leave this open for a period of time, but it's not infinite. It just can't keep going on and on. So eventually, if he doesn't want to pursue it anymore, we're going to presume it's closed and consider it withdrawn. We're going to leave it open for now, all right? Hopefully, give him a little time to take a walk and think about it, and hopefully hear from him soon. You're welcome. All right. Anything else before the board? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Isn't Bill Owen on the agenda tonight?
No,
The
that's
gate
not
guy?
until the 15th. Next meeting.
it was tabled.
It's tabled.
Oh, it's put back again?
Yes.
Oh,
Right, let's try again. I would entertain a motion for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Good, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thanks so much. Thanks for your time.
Larry.
I get-
Yes.